What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Party on Broad. Today, we are breaking down everything between the Eagles and the Browns and looking ahead to the top matchups between the Eagles and the Giants. How me do that? He is Ryan Reese at Philly Sports PSA on X. What's good, Ryan?
Not much, man. Ready to talk about this Cleveland game, but also really ready to move on.
Yeah, Victory Mondays just doesn't hit like they used to. What's up, 2022? Also joining us, he is Rob Lange at Philly_Madness. What's up, Rob?
This team exhausts me. I'm exhausted. I don't enjoy them. I don't enjoy anything about them. I really don't. I don't, the players, the coaches, the front office. I don't enjoy anything about them right now. And this coming on the heels of having our hearts taken out and stomped a week earlier by the Phillies is just like, oh God. So let's talk about it. Let me give it to you this. I think I'm going to surprise some people today.
Okay.
With some of my takes. I think some of my takes, you would think that I'm the other way. I'm going to surprise some people. I think
it was funny. Like, I was on Phil's show training the AM this morning, and he's down and out. He's hurting. I'm not even upset. Like, I hit doomer level weeks ago, like with the defense and everything. Yeah. Where are you guys at? Like, I know, Ryan, you're Mr. Optimism, Mr. Positivity. How are you feeling?
Yeah, listen, I think I'm still a little bit more positive than your average, I guess. Yeah, there are lots of problems with this team. There is, a talent issue on the defense. There's a coaching issue, you name it. Where there's also an offensive identity issue, mostly in whose offense is this? Because this clearly is not a Kellen Moore offense. Let's make that plain and simple and clear as day. This has shades of it, but there's obviously some Nick influence, and that clearly needs to stop.
I think there's another influence too.
Yeah, well, yeah, probably under all of the influences, which honestly I'd like to be under right now, watching the games moving forward. So,
yeah. Rob, where you at? Are you good?
I mean, look, I look around the rest of the league and I go, at 3-2, never say never right now. Like, I do feel that way. Like, I think the league outside of 4 or 5 teams is bad. I think the product of football is bad. Yeah. I think there are outside of maybe Detroit, I think every team has holes. Like, I know that Minnesota's 5-0 and Kansas City's 5-0, but there's holes on those teams. I look at Baltimore. Yeah, their offense is unbelievably prolific, but their defense is not very good. Like, their defense gives up a lot of points. So, like, I sit here and I go, the league is just so bad that, like, I don't think, even if I want to throw in the towel, I don't think we can throw in the towel because you're going to be in it up to the end. But it is exhausting. It is exhausting. A lot of the stuff is exhausting. The behavior yesterday was exhausting, and frustrating, and we'll get into that, I'm sure. But I don't expect this team to win anything this year, but at the same time, I can't sit here and just say, "Well, just blow it up now. What the hell's the difference?" Like, because you have something to play for, because the league is mediocre, so you kind of have to. You're going to have to go through this right now, and that's just the way it is, and you're going to have to hope and pray that, as things have done in this league for other organizations, something changes. But I don't really know where I am. I'm tired. I think the Phillies and then this just made me tired. Like, where I'm at? Like, I can't wait for next Wednesday, October 23rd, when I'm in the Wachovia or Wells Fargo Center to watch the Sixers play the Bucks and to see what this new look team is. Like, that's almost where I'm at this point. Like, I'm getting to the point as a fan where I love the beginning of seasons, and that's it. Like, nothing else is good outside of that very beginning when we all have hope, and then it just fades.
Yep. All right, let's jump into our top takeaways between the Eagles and the Browns. All right, top takeaways: Eagles versus Browns. I'm going to lead us off because I never do. We also have Phil joining. Nick Sirianni looks like a scalded dog at his press conference.
He did what he had to do today. I mean, like he did what he had to do. You had to come out. You had to say what he had to say. You know, he put his pride aside for 20 minutes, and I think my hope is we can move past the stupidity of yesterday.
Yeah.
But the only way that happens is if they keep winning. They have to win games, and he's got to show a concerted effort not to do something as stupid as he did yesterday, as turn around to the fans. And you know me, I'm a Nick supporter, but there's certain things you can't support. I don't care about his other goofy antics. I really don't. They don't bother me. But that one is just unnecessary. Yeah. My anger yesterday was that someone attacked him for getting a haircut. I thought that was the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. But like Michael Barkan went off on him for getting a haircut. And I thought that was like the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my entire. Like I was like, we're just looking for things right now. But yes,
yeah, I was ready to tear down Nick.
You did tear him down.
I'll let you touch on that, Rob. But I want to start off the show with something positive. You know, right. And I'm off work today, so I had a lot of time to rewatch the film. And I gotta say, the rewatching Cooper DeJean every single play was fantastic. The Eagles have something really special in this dude. He had a half a sack, 6 tackles, a quarterback hit. He only played 3% of the defensive snaps the first 4 weeks of the season, man. But yesterday afternoon, he had 26 snaps in coverage, targeted 4 times, gave up 2 catches for 13 yards. Quinyon Mitchell had another solid game. Those two combined against the Browns, 8 targets, 3 catches allowed for 23 yards, 0 first downs, a 45.8 passer rating. And the way they utilized Cooper DeJean was unbelievable. And it's more the way it looked, like not just the surface stats, but they were using him as an edge rusher, the 4th man attacking the quarterback. He was coming off the edge in blitzes. There was one play that was like he was so in the head of Deshaun Watson that he came up and faked the blitz and then went back. And Deshaun Watson was utterly confused, and that led to a sack. I was blown away at Vic Fangio's utilization of Cooper DeJean. I am beyond ecstatic about what it means for this team moving forward. I don't think it's any coincidence that the tackling and everything else was a lot better this week. So for me, I got to give it to Cooper DeJean, man. That is a special kid. Yeah.
The way they used him, I was going to joke and say he's the best edge rusher on the team because he was in the backfield multiple. The one time he rushed so quickly, he ran right by Deshaun Watson and forced him into the hands of somebody else for a sack. But
you see the one where he was coming off the edge, and I don't know who picked him up. I don't know if it was a running back or a tight end or what, but he blew him away.
Yeah. He does that. He tackles violently. He tackles physically. He's a Swiss Army knife, and he's what I think we all had hoped for when they drafted him, and then obviously the injury took him away. But like even in coverage, you know, he was in coverage on that one play that Avonte Maddox probably has gotten beat 4 times on this year. You know, I mean, it was very exciting to see the youth step up. You know, I wish Keely Ringo wouldn't have given up the one play when he had an opportunity, because then it really would have been a nice youthful day out there. Because look, one of the guys going into the season that I said my eye was on was Moro Ajomo, and he just continues to get better and better and better. He was all around the ball yesterday, and I think got 2 holding penalties called on the offensive line because of his rush and what he was able to do. And if those guys can start to play better, then the Jalen Carters get their sacks. Then Bryce Huff gets on the goddamn stat sheet. I mean, these things finally start to happen. So well done the way Vic used Coop yesterday. I was very, very happy to see that.
I stand corrected. Brian, thank you for the comment. That was Jack Conklin, the right tackle of Cleveland, with Cooper DeJean just completely just throwing him to the side. Absolutely incredible. Brian, any thoughts before you get into your top takeaway?
Yeah, listen, you're absolutely right. We clearly got our first and second round picks right so far. Yeah. They look amazing. And I said something, last night that, listen, this is clearly the last year for Slay.
Mm-hmm.
As much as, whatever, he can go, do podcasts and, eat banana pudding and do all that fun stuff that he wants to do outside of being a Philadelphia Eagle. We obviously, listen, I've been on the Slay train for a while, the veteran leadership, but when he went out, you really saw the youth of this team at that position shine. And again, I know it's against the Cleveland Browns, but you can only do it against the people who are in front of you. I thought that gave me everything I needed to see.
This is the play. You go whoop, and then comes back and gets a sack. He was back there so fast, man.
Yeah. Fantastic. Tech is in the house. What's going on, Tech? DeGene being our best edge, funny and sad. That is what you call football instincts and pad level. Ryan, what's your top takeaway?
Yeah, my top takeaway is Jalen Hurts. He had a fantastic day. He did not turn the ball over. He, again, the first, outside of the first drive, essentially, I thought he looked really good. Obviously he's just getting back into it with AJ and Smitty. And, again, I know we kind of, question the offensive game plan and, the slow starts and maybe the predictability of this offense. It seems like we just, when AJ's out there, we just run, 4 verticals. But they did that. Smitty play was a drag route that was actually really nice. If only we could do that a lot more. Listen, I was, again, you have to take those steps. And right now we needed to see a Jalen Hurts take the step, have the game where he did not turn the ball over. And he has done that. He looked good. He threw 2 touchdowns. He threw for, 250-ish yards. Again, I thought he looked really good. And considering the offense as overall, the run game wasn't working, I thought he did really well. And that was encouraging to see. And now let's build on it.
I agree. Yeah. Ryan, you mean he fakes another injury after getting exposed to guys?
You take whatever you want. I said fantastic. He was.
We're talking about Jalen Hurts here, right?
Yeah.
What was fantastic about Jalen Hurts was it was clean. It was a clean game. Right. There was no turnovers, which right now the bar is set there for fantastic for him, because as long as he's not turning the ball over, as you can see, even in a game where you're not playing very well as an offense, you still, win the game. And honestly, there were more points that could have been put up in this game. People are going to look at that 20-16 score and say, wow, man, there was a 10-point swing at the end of the half that had nothing to do with offense or defense. It had to do with special teams. That 10-point swing makes it 23, or the final score ends up 23-9 maybe at the end of the game, and we may be talking a totally different tune right now. But look, he didn't turn the ball over. We got to be okay with that.
He brought it the middle of the field because Dallas Goedert went out immediately.
But that's the one. That's, if I had a takeaway from this game, and it's not a critique, it's more of a question, and it's how much input is Jalen Hurts on the lack of throws over the middle in the game plan. And that's my fear. Obviously the quarterback has to have a say. I get it. But you talked about at the beginning of the show, Rye, where this is not a Kellen Moore offense. And yes, I'm sure part of that is Nick Sirianni, but I almost wonder if a larger part of that is Kellen Moore doesn't think he can run his offense with Jalen Hurts. And that's concerning because, Jesus, if I was the Eagles, when I have my full complement of wide receivers, I would run slants and mesh routes and cross routes all day. And then every now and again, get Jahan Dotson in space like they did a couple times yesterday. But if they're not doing that because Jalen Hurts is saying, I don't want to go under center, or I don't feel comfortable throwing over the middle, they got to say, hey, you got to sack up, dude, because that's how our offense is going to put up 30, 35 points, especially if you start making those meshes, deep crosses, 15 and cross instead of 5. I mean, that's my big concern is Jalen not comfortable throwing it over the middle. And if that's the case, well, then the coaches need to go, Sack up, dude, because you're throwing over the middle.
You're 100% right. And then if that's the case, why was Kellen Moore hired? If you know,
right, 100%.
If Kellen Moore was like, well, Jalen Hurts really isn't my guy, why did he want to come here? Why did they hire him? And why have they not figured out, hey, guys, listen, A, B, and C are what work with what we have. Why are we not doing this?
Well, it's like back in the day. It's like back in the day, Andy Reid was the king of screens. So we ran screens all the time.
All day.
So the slant route to A.J. Brown might be the most unstoppable route in the history of the Eagles.
they literally need to start utilizing those two of them. Like Kansas City and Miami now with like Tyreek Hill. Get him in space, get him crossing. You know, again, I don't understand. You have two of these guys that can do that. Why do slants, cross routes?
And that's what I mean. Like early in the game, they seem to be going deep. I don't think that was the actual play. I think that, and I didn't watch the All-22, so you guys could tell me, but I think that's the throw he's comfortable with. That's the throw he makes, and no one is holding him accountable for not looking over the middle, even if Dallas got it, because Grant Calcaterra had a resurgence yesterday.
4 for 48. He was 4 for 48. You know, he was.
So that's what I take away. My concern is his. I don't know if it's fear or just absolute disdain for going over the middle, and someone has to tell him to stop and throw it over the middle and get under center every now and again, dude.
It's the coach's fault.
It's got to start with Sirianni and getting
100%
out of this offense, because it's almost always the first quarter. It's typically what we see in the first few possessions, the first few series, and I agree, Rob. I don't know. I don't have the answers. I don't know if it's a Hurts or a Moore or a Sirianni thing, but I do want to say when they did run under center, when they did, actually utilize pistol offense, it looks really good. Do you know how many yards on average they had in those concepts against the Browns? 7.6 per play.
Yeah.
6 times they ran pistol and ran under center. So
it looks good.
It's working, but they don't do enough of it. And I agree, Ryan. Like that should be something that is from the jump. Like, these are the things that get your offense in a rhythm. And this is an offense that hasn't been in rhythm at all.
And if you're scripting the first 15 plays or whatever the amount of plays is, all right, 6 or 7 are runs. The other ones that are passes, you should force him with only mesh routes and slants on the first 15 plays scripted. And I guarantee you we're scoring points in the first quarter.
But the problem is it does need to come from Sirianni, down to Kellen Moore, down to Jalen Hurts. And the three of them need to lock themselves in a room and figure out why the hell they are not doing these things. Why the hell our run game has the ability to be amazing, but we don't ever run under center. Why do we not utilize that? Why are we not utilizing the strengths of our 2 wide receivers who are clearly, top receivers here, and we're only running deep routes with them, verticals with them? Like, come on, it's ridiculous.
That 3rd and 1 with time draining at the end of the first half was ridiculous. Like, go look at that play, straight verticals. Like when you need 1 yard and you have 2 timeouts.
It's
mind-numbing. It's mind-numbing.
Yeah.
But that's my issue. Right? Like, the offense is going to be fine. The defense is way more concerning.
Because even, as good as the defense played, Cleveland held the time of possession battle yesterday.
I'm going to go on a rant.
Yeah. I
wanted to stay positive because I have another takeaway. That's
not with me here.
I just want to put context in, like, everything. The Browns offense is historically bad.
Yeah.
And there was a stretch where Watson went 10 for 10 in the second half. This is an offense that's 31st in EPA per play, 31st in points per drive, a league worst 19.5 yards per possession. And Sunday they had 1 trip in the red zone, and that was their 9th red zone trip of the season. This is a team with a quarterback that's arguably the worst in the NFL, starting quarterback in the NFL. And this is a guy that, I know we want to get excited about the pass rush yesterday, but my goodness, man, this guy is getting sacked at an unbelievable rate. Like here we go. I'm going to find these numbers here. The Browns, this is when you're not prepared. Deshaun Watson has been sacked at least once on 27 drives this year. The Browns lead the league in percentage of drives with at least one sack, and with more than 40% of their possessions resulting in at least one takedown. So Deshaun Watson's like the new like Daniel Jones, like
Derek Carr or David Carr.
David Carr
back in the day.
Like it's just an unbelievable rate. So before we get like really, really excited, I think it's really important to put the context on what we saw yesterday.
Well, and I think it's what me and you and you know, we've talked about this before. I'm over this bend but don't break, and obviously Vic Fangio's did that quite a few times yesterday, right? They gave up, you know, a little bit lengthier drives, and then they had, you know, held them to field goals. I mean, look, I don't really know what Cleveland is thinking yesterday. If they're going to go for it on 4th and goal from the 8, why they're not going for it from 4th and goal on the 13 is beyond me. But they made a decision, and I mean, it cost them the game because the Eagles finally were able to sustain a drive to end the game. But still, like, I get it. Yes, bend but don't break. It seems like a lot of fun. Dude, there's no way the Cleveland Browns offense should be out possessed. And I know time of possession is also on the Eagles offense, but as that defense, it should be 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, because it's bad. I mean, their receivers are so, but you just want a couple of times Deshaun Watson threw the ball. The receiver wasn't even halfway into his route yet. I mean, it was just brutal. And there's no way you should lose the time of possession battle to that team. And I think that's more a detriment to our defense right now than it is our offense.
I'm definitely concerned when, you know, Deshaun Watson goes 11 of 11 in the second half in that stretch.
Yeah.
And this guy that does not get rid of the ball fast, which has been the Achilles heel of this defense. So just something to keep an eye out. Any other takeaways before we roll on?
No. Are we moving on to the Giants?
Yeah.
All right. Before we do that, I just want to get my thing out here because
oh boy,
I just no. It's more so. Look, Nick Sirianni lacks self-awareness, and it's unfortunate because I don't think what he did maliciously. I just think he doesn't understand that wasn't the way to go about. Now, with that said, it also frustrates me that the players, and they made the comments after the game too, it's not just what Nick said, they wanted old Nick back. Well, listen, we've got to figure out a happy medium. Because it cannot get to that level, because then what happens is the vitriol that we have seen all day today, whether it be locally, national media. And here's the thing, and this is all I was trying to say when we were in a text message last night. The Eagles are not going to fire Nick Sirianni right now. He might get fired at the end of the year, but he's going to be here for the rest of the season. And I'd rather be able to focus on the games than having to talk about Nick Sirianni's antics every game after every game. And that's my only thing. It's like, yeah, there's a lot of things to critique Nick Sirianni about. And yesterday was inexcusable. And for me to say that is a lot because you know that I defend him quite a bit. But, you know, he's got to find this happy medium. And I'm glad to hear what he said today, that he's got to figure out when he can do it, when he can't do it. It was good to hear. But you would hope right now he's acting like a high school football coach. All that shit works in a high school football program. He's got to remember where he is. And that's as the CEO of a professional football team. And there's certain things that come with that. But I also sit here and go, I'm going to take this from Ryan from a couple weeks ago. He's a human being. He royally screwed up yesterday. I was glad he came out today and apologized for it. And my hope now is we're on to the Giants. We could leave this crap behind us and we can move forward. So that's all I wanted to say about that.
Yep. Brian says we couldn't stop the run. Nakobe Dean needs to be benched. I was about to say it, but you already kind of hit on it. Trot Jr. Let's see what this kid's got.
Yeah.
He flashed a lot of nice things during preseason. And
poor guy, they called a penalty on him yesterday. I don't think he was in the game. And then they changed it to Zach Bond. I was like, that's messed up.
All right, let's get into our top storylines to watch heading into week 7. storylines to watch as we wait for Ryan to return.
Unbelievable, that guy.
There he is.
All he does is yell me to be on here, and then he leaves. Unreal.
Yeah.
When I'm talking, in the middle of me talking.
Well, that's kind of why I like it.
I'm going to go first. It's got to be the injury issues for the Eagles right now. Dallas Goedert, Darius Slay, Jordan Mailata all ruled out during yesterday's game. I'm mostly worried about the offensive line, especially the Jordan Mailata injury. You look at Fred Johnson yesterday, really struggled. He allowed 2 pressures in just 5 pass blocking snaps. You go back to the previous week against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 2 sacks allowed, 11 total pressures allowed during his only start. So I know they said Mailata is going to be out a couple weeks at least. I am concerned about the offensive line. That's where I'm going to start. I'll throw it to you, Rob.
Yeah, well, they said, when it comes to the injuries, they said everything's open. So is this a moment they put Mekhi Becton back out there? Is that what they do if they don't trust Fred Johnson? I mean, look, I take Fred Johnson with a grain of salt yesterday because he's going against maybe one of the best edge rushers in the history of the game in Myles Garrett. But you have Brian Burns next week. It's not like it's any easier come next week. So that injury is a big one. I mean, the Dallas Goedert one made me mad on a personal note because about 12 hours prior to that, I traded for him in fantasy because Travis Kelce was on a bye and I really needed a tight end. So I'm like, I don't play Javonte Williams. Let me trade him for Dallas Goedert. This will be great. And then he gets hurt on the first play. He gets the ball thrown to him. So, and then the Slay injury is one of those where, look, I'm not a Slay hater like most of our fan base. I'm kind of like Ryan. I kind of support Slay, but I'm not mad to have to see what Isaiah Rodgers and Keely Ringo can do for us right now. So, I mean, that injury, but the Jordan Mailata on crutches with the big wrap, I mean, this is at least a month. I have a feeling he's going on IR. So what do you do? I mean, look, we say it all the time, and Jeff Stoutland we trust. Well, damn it, we better start trusting in Jeff Stoutland to make the right decision here because this is crucial for this game. I mean, this is your first division game in a division that, including yourself, is not very good. I don't care what anyone wants to tell me about the Washington Commanders. I still believe they're going to fall back to the back at some point. I mean, you saw their defense. I don't think their defense is very good, and now they just lost Jonathan Allen for the year with a torn pec. So I'm not as concerned. So you want to start in the division hot. The MetLife has been a house of horrors. You're 1-3 there under Sirianni. My thing is, can you get what I'm looking for? My top storyline. Can you start off in the division the right way? And once again, I don't need this win to be pretty. I don't, because it doesn't matter how bad the teams are. Division games for the Eagles tend to be close. I just need a win. I need you to find a way to win this football game. It can be ugly. It can be nasty. Find a way to win the football game. Start off in the division 1-0 because I think the division is theirs for you to take at this point.
Yep. Tex says, can we go on a mini run? When is our next loss? It could be Dallas. This week. Could be. Well, I'm looking at guys that get rid of the ball fast. Like Joe Burrow is going to carve up.
It could be at Cincinnati. Cincinnati's better than 2-4. Okay. Yeah. They're better.
And then Dallas, I know they're struggling, but Dak, you can get the
another
ball out
house of horrors. Another house of horrors. Eagles don't win down there.
Yep. So I'm looking at the Bengals and the Cowboys. Ryan, what's your top storyline?
Yeah, no, I think I think it's going to be the youth in the defensive backfield. That's what I'm going to be looking at, honestly. And I think that they're going to finally have their chance to kind of go out there and play as a unit. Obviously, you guys said two of the most major things there. The injuries and of course, the whole Sirianni thing and the whole, figuring out this offense. But I'm definitely thinking that the defensive backfield is might be the storyline here. Is can the young pups step up and on the awful turf that is MetLife.
Yep. All right, let's roll on to our next segment, and that is top matchups to watch. top matchups to watch. Who wants to go first? Go for it.
Yeah, I look. I think the one thing I saw from the Giants' defensive line, I watched that whole game last night, was they were wreaking havoc on the Cincinnati Bengals offensive line, and now we're talking about Jordan Mailata being down. So I'm going right to the trenches. I think it's the Eagles O line versus the Giants D line, and who could control the line of scrimmage, because I want this to be like a Saquon Barkley revenge game, but that doesn't happen unless your offensive line is blowing up guys that are really good, like Dexter Lawrence. And as we said, Brian Burns, and then Ojulari played very, very well last night. They played better than I thought they were, but if you kind of look at their games, they're not giving up a ton defensively. They're playing pretty good defensively. So to me, you got to win that battle. You got to win that battle at the line of scrimmage. If you do, I think the Eagles could win, and actually for the first time ever win by double digits. But it really is going to be there. That's the battle I'm looking at all game long.
Yeah, I mean, it's the matchup I have. I'll just piggyback off of that. Saquon versus Brian Burns and Azeez Ojulari. Ojulari had his best game probably of his career yesterday. 4 tackles, 2 quarterback hits, 2 sacks. He was in on a forced fumble. He also had 6 total pressures. And then Brian Burns, 8 tackles, 2 quarterback hits, a sack, and 4 total pressures. Yeah, they're good, man. So what about you, Ryan?
It's going to be one whether or not. Yeah, this is awful. Thank you very much for that, Q. Speaking of a random side note, apparently Trump's in Oaks today, which is like 10 minutes away from my house. So if anybody, never mind, I won't say that.
Don't go there.
Anyway, I'm gonna go with if Malik Neighbors is healthy, which all indication says he should be, and it's going to be him versus those young defensive backs.
Mm-hmm.
And Neighbors clearly, is the standout wide receiver in this rookie class. As Harrison is kind of off to a little bit of a slow start there, even though he had that one good game, but he's hurt as well. So. Neighbors has looked amazing. Honestly, he looks like the only acceptable offensive piece for the New York Giants, and it'll be interesting to see how they game plan against him. Whether they just throw everybody at him, or they maybe sit Q on him and kind of have a top matchup there of rooks versus rooks. So it'll be interesting to see how they handle Neighbors. As again, like I said, all indication is that he will be returning from his concussion.
Looks like he's averaging almost 100 yards per game. He has 3 touchdowns this season.
Crazy.
I have one more matchup to watch. Andrew Thomas or whoever's at left tackle for the Giants and versus Josh Sweat. Andrew Thomas got hurt yesterday and was hobbling off the field. So it could be another Jordan Mailata situation for the New York Giants. So that's something to keep an eye on. We'll see. And Andrew Thomas really struggled. When I was doing some research, Trey Hendrickson of Cincinnati was
dominating. Yeah.
2 or 3 sacks.
Yeah. So that's definitely something to watch. Josh Sweat had a sack yesterday. Maybe he gets going. I know, Ryan. I know. But
don't forget. Come on, give him his due. Go ahead, give him his due.
Why?
What?
You know who you need to give his due to.
Bryce Huff's half a sack.
There it is.
He dove on top of the pile after somebody had him down just to get himself on the stat book. That one.
Hey, better than Hassan Reddick right now, baby. Let's go.
I don't know. Hassan's about to get paid. He got Drew in the building.
Yeah, I know.
All right.
I have one. The only other matchup I'd say is Cooper DeJean on Wan'Dale Robinson. I think you're going to see a lot of that matchup, and that kid's played well. And if it's not him, it's going to be Darius Slayton. So both of those guys are decent enough receivers. I'll be very interested to see how Cooper does against those guys come Sunday.
We're gonna miss the Darius Slay versus Darius Slayton
matchup.
Damn it.
Why are we watching? Why are we even watching the game?
That's it. Let's just shut off the podcast. Get out of here.
I do want to give a quick shout out. The Giants have a running back 5th round draft pick named Tyrone Tracy. Apparently putting up pretty wild numbers. Like 100 yards 2 weeks ago. Didn't have that many yards yesterday, but he's still getting a lot of yards after contact. So keep an eye on the Eagles linebackers versus Tyrone Tracy. Let's get into
great betting story, since we do some betting things now. Great betting story from yesterday.
Yeah,
I took a parlay anytime touchdown, Tyrone Tracy and Chase Brown, $10 to win 80. Just like a little bet to throw it in there. Nice. So Tyrone Tracy scores early. Chase Brown scores, but they call a holding and take it back. And then as Cincinnati's running the clock out with like under 2 minutes left, boom, 45-yard touchdown run for Chase Brown. Winner. It was fantastic. It was a positive night on the betting front.
There you go. It's great. All right, let's get into our next segment. Eagles fill in the blank. All right, Rob, lead us off. The Eagles will beat the Giants because
they're going to win the turnover battle. And I think that this is something that we're not talking enough about. You know, they said it all week going into the game that they were working on. They've got to start punching the football. Every game around the league, there's fumbles, whether they're being recovered or not. And I'm going to harp on this now until they finally do. They have got to cause some turnovers. And who better to do it than Daniel Jones, Danny Dimes. Okay, Danny Dimes. They've got to win the turnover battle, I think. I could have said easily win the battle up front, but that was my point earlier in the game. That's obviously very important. I'm going to say the Eagles win the game because they're going to win the turnover battle, which is going to give them short fields, which gives them the ability to go score some touchdowns and score some points.
I'm right there with you. That was the top story against the Browns. It's probably going to be the top story against the Giants the more I look into this. Jalen Hurts limiting turnovers. What about you, Ryan?
Yeah, honestly, that's a pretty good one. But I'm gonna say that the defense for the Eagles is the reason why they have been quietly and very ugly doing a halfway decent job at limiting points on the board. They only technically gave up 9 points yesterday against Cleveland. Against the Saints, they did rather well at limiting the points on the board. And the Giants' offense is just as anemic as Cleveland's. So I truly believe that they're going to be able to limit the points scored by the Giants. And, hopefully they'll have a few turnovers as well, like Rob said.
All right, let's throw it the other way around. The Eagles will lose to the Giants because, Rob?
Nothing changes from last week. If they come out with the same exact, vanilla game plan with 4 verticals the all goddamn day, they're not going over the middle enough. They're not able to win the battle up front to get Saquon Barkley into the open. Defensively, they can't get the Giants off the field because the Giants may not be a great offense, but the Giants will score touchdowns where the Cleveland Browns are kicking field goals. And that, if you play the exact game you played against Cleveland, you're going to lose this week. So you've got to make, I don't know what it is. And maybe it doesn't have to be on both sides of the ball, right? It's very rare that an Eagles team, both sides of the ball, play well on the exact same day. So maybe we're asking too much for that. But maybe the offense could just be a little better with the slants and the mesh routes and the deep crosses and not run verticals on every friggin' play. How about running a little halfback slant route out of the backfield where you get, Barkley breaking out like he's going out and then cutting back over the middle. One of those types of routes, maybe if it's not Dallas Goedert, get Grant Calcaterra back involved. He showed me a little something last week. Maybe he could do that again. He'd catch the football. So the way they lose is if nothing changes and we just see a repeat of what we just saw, yesterday.
It's a disgrace that I'm going to say the Eagles have the same red zone percentage as the offense has the same red zone percentage as the New York Giants. This bottom tier in the NFL. That's an embarrassment considering what this offense has and the weapons and the offensive line. Ryan, Eagles lose to the Giants because
they think they know better, and they don't. Ever do. They think they're the smartest people in the room, and Nick Sirianni needs to get his freshly shaven head out of his own.
Go after the guy's haircut. Unbelievable.
And maybe come up with a game plan in the first 15 to actually score some freaking points here. It's embarrassing that for 5 games you have an offense that we all were like, yeah, maybe we could be a top 10, top 5 offense. We're not that if we can't score in the first 15 minutes of a game, much less the first 15 plays. It's embarrassing. Figure it the hell out. It's not that hard. Don't reinvent it. Just do what everybody else does and get on the board.
Love it. Love the energy.
Yep. Yeah, we're going to clip that for sure.
Yes.
Let's get into our X Factors. All right, biggest X factors to watch against the Giants. You could argue like Grant Calcaterra was the X factor against the Browns. Had several big catches. Ryan, where do you want to go with this?
God, it's so sad that we just had to say that out loud.
Getting that jersey, baby.
Yeah. Oh, forget that. Even if I leave the number. Yeah, listen, I'm gonna steal your guy there, Dives.
Who?
I'm gonna say the X factor for this game has to be Jalen Carter.
Okay.
He absolutely has to be a wrecking ball. He needs to get in front of Danny Dimes' face and shove those beady little eyes right into the ground as many times as possible. Just has to, if we have any chance of winning this game, he needs to be a force, and he needs to show up and show out.
I was going to go defensive tackle, but not Jalen Carter. What about you, Rob?
X factor. I'm going to go Quinyon Mitchell.
Nice.
I'm going to say this is, he's going up against another young, up-and-coming star, looks to be a star receiver. And, if you can neutralize Malik Neighbors, this offense becomes even more anemic. So if you can keep the big plays off the board, if you can continue, what I love about Quinyon is even if he gets beat, he's not beat. He's got unbelievable catch-up speed after a guy gets past him. So I think Quinyon, and I think this guy's got so much swag. I want him to be the guy that gets that interception this week. I want him to be the guy who jumps Danny Dimes but catches it this time. So I'm going to hit with Quinyon on that.
I like that. I'm going to go with Moro Ojomo. I thought he was very solid against the Browns. We were waiting for that Milton Williams breakout season that has not hit. So give me Moro Ojomo, who had back-to-back pressures. Stock way up for Moro Ojomo, who probably gets more playing time after a solid performance against the Browns.
Since I have to take a loss on Devin White, I'm taking a win on Moro Ojomo. I've been all over it since preseason. Just saying.
All right.
Where's that shirt? Where's the shirt?
It's in my drawer.
Yeah.
It's on its way.
Yeah.
I'm sending it to you now.
Yeah. Please do.
All right, let's get into our picks, predictions, and prop bets. All right, let's look back at last week. Rob, you killed it, man. You absolutely killed it. You led the way with 8 wins.
I suck.
I was following the score of the game thinking like this thing should end 27-13 and I'm going to look like a genius. Yep. It's damn close.
I had 5, Shane had 5, David had 4, and Ryan, last but not least,
wow,
he had 3. So
man, you suck. It's like your fantasy team. It's just terrible. It's rough. That's a rough go.
How dare you?
It's a rough go. Right. Sorry, I'm sitting up here. I'm sitting up here 5-1, just loving life.
4-2.
Yeah, no, that's a terrible record.
Good. All right, let's get into player of the game, Rob. Who's your player of the game against the Giants?
Oh, man, I'm going with it. I'm going with the Saquon. It's the revenge game, baby. This is going to be the game. He's going to have over 130 total yards. He's going to have 2 TDs in the game. Total yards, not rushing, 130 total. Okay, 2 TDs in the game. So I think Saquon gets his revenge at MetLife and then looks up to the owner's box and the GM's box and says, I watched Hard Knocks. Thanks, guys.
What about you, Ryan?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be Smitty. I think AJ Brown kind of had his welcome back game, and Smitty's going to have his welcome back game against the Giants.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it. Give me Cooper DeJean.
I love it. I love it when you punt.
Watch Cooper get 2 picks. Watch him get 2 picks in the game.
Right?
He might be my 2023 version or 2024 version of Jalen Carter. I'm probably gonna roll with him pretty heavily.
Can I just ask how many times that worked out for you?
Not very many. Score prediction. I'll just go. I'll say 26-23. Wait. Eagles 26-23.
I mean, it's very close to what my score prediction is. I just don't know who to put on what side of it yet. Mm-hmm. Like that's where I'm at.
It's Eagles for me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna go Eagles. I'm gonna say 27-24.
Oh wow. Okay.
That was my score all along was 27-24. It was just a matter of which way I was going. Jake Elliott makes up for the blocked field goal yesterday.
By the way, the special teams of the Giants is struggling as well. Ryan, what's your score?
I'm gonna go Birds. I'm gonna go 23-10.
Wow, for the first time in like 10 months.
I love your style today, Ryan. Your style is exactly where it needs to be, Ryan.
All right, over. That's 33 under. All right, let's get into Daniel Jones total turnovers 0.5. Ryan, you're over?
Over.
What is this? Daniel Jones turnovers? Oh, yeah, definitely over. He's throwing one.
Yeah, definitely what Dibes just actually said.
Rushing yards for Saquon Barkley, 99.5.
Over, because that's what I said.
Ryan? Did we lose Ryan?
Nope.
No, it's just
thinking really hard.
That's just the way he looks in real life.
Yeah, that's just how I look. It's my face.
I have the slight under. I'm gonna go slight under for.
Okay, it's just not.
You guys enjoy being on the losing side. That's fine.
Hurts versus Jones. Who has more passing yards, Rob?
I'm gonna go Daniel Jones because I think the Eagles are gonna go heavy on the run game.
All right, Ryan.
Hurts.
I will also go Hurts. AJ versus Devontae. Who has more touchdowns? You could also say neither. Or like a tie, you could kind of do that as well. I love this one. Over under how many Sirianni kids at the press conference?
0. He will not have them there this week. I will bet you any amount of money there ain't a kid at that press conference unless they win 45-0. Then he might just do it just to piss everybody off.
There's 100 to the moon.
I'm going AJ.
I'm going Devontae.
I think I'm going Devontae this week.
Okay.
I mean, I have to go Devontae if I pick him for my player of the game, right?
Yeah, I don't really like agreeing with Ryan, but I'm going to here.
Oh, wow.
We're under on receiving yards for AJ, 114.5.
I'll go under.
Under.
All right. And then over under on Tyrone Tracy total yards 64.5.
Absolutely over.
Okay.
I'm gonna go over. Or no, under. Sorry.
He catches passes for them too, and honestly, watching the third and fourth string running backs of the Browns get these monster holes yesterday were rather frightening at times.
Okay. All right, there she is. That is our picks and predictions for the week. What about Hurts interceptions and giveaways? He didn't have one, so we're going to give him a break. We're going to give him a break.
Yeah.
And we do that literally every single week.
Yeah,
I'll give you this. If Hurts has a clean game again, the Eagles win by double digits.
All right.
Let's go.
That's my belief. If he has a clean game with no turnovers, they win by double digits.
How many times does Hurts drop his eyes and roll right, even though there's a set pocket?
57.
Yeah.
All right, Ryan. Final thoughts. Eagles versus Giants. Plugs. Time's yours.
Yeah, listen, I think the Eagles are lucky. The Giants really, really suck. Hell, the whole division sucks. Yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see Saquon coming back to the Met and seeing that awful turf. Yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting, but I'm thinking this might be the week we finally break the streak of the double digits. We needed it. We just need to do it and just break out of it. But anyway, other than that, you can find me right here on X. You can find me on this YouTube channel. You can find me. I agree with what clean game is. Okay. You could also follow me on Eagles Pinpool Network as well. We got it. Oh, Jesus God. Unbelievable.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it's a feisty crowd today. Yeah, Eagles Pinpool Network. So wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Google, the Spotify, search Eagles Pinpool. You can search for that on YouTube as well and Facebook. Give it a like, follow, share, and follow, retweet, all that good fun stuff. So we do appreciate the support as we are trying to build the network. So.
Robert says, always here. We'll watch replay. Thanks, man. We've got a comment. After seeing Watson go 10 for 10, do we seriously think Danny Dimes is going to get shut down by this defense? It's a great question, man. I would be shocked if the entire game plan is just to get the ball out of his hands immediately. We also have another comment. Giants 24-17. Bye-bye, Sirianni.
Guys, you got to stop hoping for it. It ain't happening until the end of the year. Like, people just got to stop hoping for it.
Yeah,
it's not crazy.
In a league that is so tightly close in records and everything else, and the fact that there has never been a team to fire a coach mid-season and then go on a Super Bowl type of run that I'm aware of. Jeffrey Lurie's not doing it. The only time he fired a coach in season was with one game left, and it was Chip Kelly because he was a jackass that no one liked. The players, whether we don't like Nick Sirianni, the players like the guy for whatever reason.
Yeah. Rob, final thoughts, plugs.
Yeah, first of all, congrats to Brandon Graham. Think about what that guy's career started from to get to the 200 games as an Eagle.
We hated him.
Unbelievable. Because I wanted Earl Thomas, damn it.
Well, of course, we all went ahead and on NFLshop.com and ordered those Earl Thomas jerseys.
Yep. So that's the first one. The second thing is, hopefully we can move on. It's been a strenuous week. I do think my hope is that this game is a game to end a lot of streaks. Maybe the Eagles. I'm not saying they're a Super Bowl team. I've made that clear tonight. Maybe they score in the first quarter. Maybe they beat a team by double digits. All of that would be wonderful. I bet you we'd all be singing a different tune next week if that's what happened. I do believe they score in the first quarter. I'm not sure if they win by double digits, but I do believe they'll come out and win the game. And, any win in the division is a good win. So go Birds.
I think it's a dead even game. I honestly do.
Yeah.
Sirianni's win percentage, I don't know. What is it, Tech? Let me know in the comment. I think it's a dead even game. I think it's going to be decided by the turnovers, as always. Tonight, we'll be doing a Sixers post-game show around 9:30, so be on the lookout for that. And then tomorrow, I'll be jumping on Fox Sports The Gambler at 4:30, and then we're going to be doing Birds of the Round Table and Armchair Scouts on tomorrow night at Eagles Pinpool Network. So be sure to go check that out. So lots coming over these next few days of Eagles and Sixers. I've made a ton of videos on the Eagles over the last 24 hours. What's up, Rob?
Nick Sirianni is number 3 in winning percentage among active NFL head coaches.
Wow.
Let's go.
Jim Harbaugh, Matt LaFleur, Nick Sirianni, Andy Reid. So all of you who tell me Andy's bet, no, I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
Wow. My God, Rob, are you trying to get murdered?
I am. I might actually
walk down the street and just somebody's just going to come by and be like, how dare you?
Yeah.
Ryan says, I want J-Lo to date me. Rob, I'm not in a fantasy land in Texas after what's his name?
Exactly. No thanks.
And Affleck.
No, I'm not taking Affleck's sloppy seconds for nobody.
Sloppy 78s.
Yes, that's also true. I also remember who else J-Lo dated? A guy that's name is all over the news these days. Exactly. She might be a part of that. So go ahead. You could date J-Lo. I'm going to believe in the Eagles instead.
Yeah. I'll take an Eagles win over J-Lo.
I am Batman. All right, guys. We'll see you during Sixers postgame. He is Ryan Reese at Philly Sports PSA. That is Rob at Philly_Madness. I'm Daz, Mr. Croppot. How about last night during the postgame show? I butchered that so bad. I was like,
I am Ryan.
You called yourself Ryan, and I laughed really hard.
I'm Ron Burgundy.
I'm Ron Burgundy. That was one of the worst outfits I've ever done.
We had to clip that. Talk about that.
All right, guys. Thanks everyone for watching. We'll see you in a few hours after the Sixers game. Stay awesome.